The Flea by John Donne, Summary, Analysis and Explanation. Hello and welcome to the discourse. The Flea is a very famous metaphysical love poem by John Donne, which was first published posthumously in 1633. All of Donne's love poems were most probably written during his years at the Cambridge University in 1590s. In 1615 he was appointed as a deacon and then he became an Anglican priest. During the 17th century or before it, sex was considered as the intermingling of blood, and the poet exaggerates this idea in the poem. The Flea is one of the finest examples of metaphysical poetry in which the poet compares the simple act of being bitten by a flea or mosquito with love-making. John Donne has used conceit, allusion, wit, and new thoughts in this poem. Structure of the Flea. There are three protagonists of this poem, the poet, his beloved, and the flea that bites them both. Thus, the Flea contains three stanzas of 9 lines each. The first 6 lines in each stanza contain 3 rhyming couplets, while the last 3 lines of each stanza is a triplet. In each of the 3 stanzas, the poet makes his point in the first 6 lines, the 3 couplets, and then he asserts and reasons his point made in the previous 6 lines in the triplet in the last 3 lines of the stanza. Summary and explanation. Mark but this flea, and mark in this, how little that which thou deniest me is. It sucked me first, and now sucks thee, and in this flea our 2 bloods mingled be. Thou knowest that this cannot be said, a sin nor shame nor loss of maidenhead. Yet this enjoys before it woo, and pampered swells with 1 blood made of 2. And this, alas, is more than we would do. In the first stanza, the poet is logically depicting the actions of a flea. However, his aim is to persuade his virgin beloved to have sex with him, which she is denying. In the first couplet, the poet suggests to his beloved to pay attention to that flea that first bites him and then has bitten the girl. He says that in that flea, which has sucked the blood of both of them, that little thing is actually happening which the girl is denying him to do with her. Since the flea has sucked the blood of both, inside the flea their blood has already fused and become one. John Donne then uses the conceit while suggesting that since sex is intermingling of blood of 2 bodies, it has already happened within the flea and it is so natural. No one can say that the mingling of their blood within the flea is a sin or shameful act. Neither it takes away the virginity of the girl. Maidenhead in this stanza means the hymen and indicates that the girl is a virgin. Yet the flea is enjoying the intermingling of blood without actually wooing for it. The blood it has sucked has made it swell, and the poet says that probably he and his beloved may not be able to experience the same intermingling. The imagery of swelling flea is an allusion to the erection of phallus. Oh stay, 3 lives in 1 flea spare, where we almost, nay more than married are. This flea is you and I, and this, our marriage bed and marriage temple is. Though parents grudge and you, we are met, and cloistered in these living walls of jet. Though use make you apt to kill me, let not to death self-murder added be, and sacrilege, 3 sins in killing 3. As the poet's beloved tries to kill the flea that has bitten her, he tries to stop her from killing the flea. He says that the flea now has the blood of 3, his beloved's, and the flea's own blood. He suggests that as their blood has intermingled, they are actually married within the flea. The flea is no more just a flea, but it contains 3 lives, the poet's, his beloved's, and its own life. Now if the flea is killed, it will be like the killing of 3, the murder of the flea and the poet, and the murder of herself. In the second stanza, John Donne has employed allusion. He is raising the Christian theological imagery by mentioning the union of 3 Holy Trinity, Eucharist, and the sacrament of marriage by mentioning the flea as his and hers marriage temple, and their marriage bed, on which they have consummated their marriage as their blood intermingled in the flea, Eucharist. The 4th couplet, lines 10 and 11, does not rhyme. John Donne married the 12-year-old minor daughter of his patron against her parents' wishes, for which he suffered a jail term too. So these lines are offering the image of his own difficulties. The two lovers use the flea, a hidden, cloistered, unexpected place, as their marriage bed. In the triplet of this stanza, the last three, 16th, 17th, and 18th lines, the poet suggests that though his murder by his beloved is still bearable, she must not kill the flea, as it will mean self-murder in a way, because the flea contains her blood too and represents her life. Thus, by killing the flea, she will be committing suicide, which is sacrilege. Cruel and sudden hast thou since purpled thy nail in blood of innocence. Wherein could this flea guilty be, except in that drop which it sucked from thee? Yet thou triumphest and sayest that thou find'st not thyself nor me the weaker now. 'Tis is true, then learn how false fears be. Just so much honor, when thou yieldst to me, will waste as this flea's death took life from thee. This third stanza offers the image of murder and death. Despite his request, the poet observes that his beloved has killed the flea, and while doing so, her nails have become purple as the blood from the flea colored them. The girl has all the power, and she used it while declining the religious imagery and erotic symbolism of the flea as their marriage bed. She has killed the flea, whom the poet says was innocent. In a way, the girl has rejected the wooing by the poet and has left the poet and the flea equally dead on the imagery bed. However, the poet is not ready to accept defeat. He brings upon a twist. The poet says that the girl literally killed him and herself by killing the flea. Yet none of them is suffering any consequences. Both are well and good. None of them is feeling weaker. In the last triplet of the poem, the poet makes his final argument. He says that since it is a fact that despite killing him and herself in a way by killing the flea, none of them are suffering any negative consequences. This proves that all her fears are equally false. The flea was the symbol of their marriage. It was their marriage bed, where they consummated their marriage, blood intermingled. The killing of flea brings no loss, so the poet says that if his beloved yields to him and submits herself, if they make love, and she loses her virginity to him, it will cause no harm to her, as little harm as the flea's murder caused. Thus, the poet strengthens his point to seduce the girl and suggests that it will not harm her honor. So this is it all about Donne's poem, The Flea. It begins as an erotic poem in the first stanza, and then Donne uses religious imagery to offer higher importance to the flea. In the last stanza, the poet makes the logical argument to persuade his beloved to make love with him. John Donne has used alliteration, allusion, hyperbole, and conceit in this poem. We will continue to discuss other important poems by John Donne in the upcoming videos. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.